Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead, and congratulations, you made it to another day. Isn't it wonderful? We are here in the garden, and I have to tell you something. It is perfect time for this. You've seen the title. You may not understand completely what I'm going to talk about, but what I'm going to say is if you don't like thought-provoking content and you're not trying to get into your garden mind and figure out how you're supposed to be doing these things, then I suggest that you go watch a cat video or something that is less thought-provoking, because today we're going to dig a little deep. I barely made it to the morning hour, but I made it, and the garden is doing very well at this moment. We are going to do our final transition. The countdown is on into full summer garden mode, but everything is going well. And I kind of want to talk about going well and gardens being successful. And it's not by chance that these things happen. It's not an accident that your garden does well, or your broccoli bolts, or you have a failure, or you have an amazing bumper crop. That's not an accident. Either way, it's caused by us. We have the ability to change these things. And as a gardener, we really need to understand that. It's super important. We were talking about this on the Backyard Gardens podcast a little bit the other day, and I really felt like I had to come on here and just say that, because I see trends. We talk to a lot of gardening people. We see a lot of gardening stuff. I keep my eyes open. Basically, I'm always talking to somebody about gardening to some capacity. And it's not an accident that something either good or bad happens. And I'm going to take you around and I'm going to show you some things that, it wasn't by chance. It was because of me that it happened. We'll walk around here, and I'm gonna take my first pit stop right here at the lettuce. And you can see we've got bolting lettuce here. This little gem lettuce has bolted. Some of these Vivian lettuces have bolted. That wasn't an accident. That was my fault. That was my fault because I didn't harvest it when I was supposed to, and now it's gonna have to be chicken food. I could have harvested it. I could have given it away. Hell, I could have sold it and not wasted it. Technically it's not being wasted because I am feeding it to the chickens, but that wasn't like, oh, it got hot and then it bolted. No, I knew it was getting hot and I did not harvest it like I was supposed to. And this is the result. For spring, the big crop that we love to talk about on the podcast and in my head and here is broccoli. I see it time and time again. Oh, well, my broccoli bolted, I'll do better next year, or I'll do something different. And it wasn't an accident that it bolted. We know why things bolt, so we need to use the knowledge to stop it from bolting, to get it before it bolts. That's the biggest thing. We come over here, let's look at this pepper bed. Now let's look at these pepper plants. See this pepper plant? It's just a stalk, and look at this one, it's all bushy. This isn't by chance. This is on purpose. Well, not on purpose, but this is my fault. I did not trim this plant like I did the others, and you can see the result. 1 stalk, 3 stalks, and then across the board. So invariably, the amount of harvest off of this plant is going to be different from this unless I intervene, and that's the key. So the way I'm going to intervene right now is I'm going to start by pulling all of the buds off, and I cut my fingernails last night, and top it. And then hopefully that will cause it to bush out from here. It makes me genuinely sad to see people talk about their gardens and have a defeatist attitude about it when it was like, no, the information is there. There's a saying that knowledge is power. Well, it is power, but here it's knowledge is success, because you can take a basic knowledge. I just caught a bee in my fingers. That's crazy. Now he's gonna sting me, watch. And what was I saying before I was so rudely interrupted? Get away from me, young lady. that if you take that knowledge and then you start to apply it, you are going to have a measure of success that will grow over that time period. And that's really important to understand. You know, we've done multiple crops and we've failed multiple years, and we've honed our skills each time, not leaving it to chance. And that's something that I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago about this, is gardening is not up to chance. It's not rocket science either, but there are a lot of moving variables in this field. You know, over here along in this little tiny bed I have, it's a square foot wide and I believe it's 10 feet long. The only thing I really get to grow good there are snow peas as of right now, and we're gonna continue to try and figure out what crops grow really good there. But we've planted in the past and not noticed a difference. You know, things didn't grow well. We've done pumpkins, we've done tomatoes, we've done cantaloupes, and none of it really grew over there. Each time something didn't grow there, I looked at it and I said, why is it not growing there? And the first year we said, hey, there's not enough water getting there, because that's a difficult space to water. So we added water and we tried to make a difference. And then the next year we did it, and then I said, well, it was the back portion of it. And I said, well, maybe it's not getting enough sun. And so we made some adjustments there. And then each year in between, we were putting snow peas and they were growing fine. And that's when I came to the conclusion that there's not enough root space for some crops. And it was never chance that it didn't grow or that we just got lucky with a crop. It was the skill involved to grow that crop. And that's something that we all need to learn and take note of, is there is a skill in it. And part of the skill of being a gardener is problem solving. And you can come to a video on YouTube, you can listen to a podcast and look to get your skill answered, your problem answered, but you need to develop the skill set to diagnose it yourself. And that's why I'm here. That's my goal. My goal is not to say, hey, your onions didn't grow because of this. My job, in my mind, hopefully, if I'm doing my job correctly, is to say, these are the options why your onions didn't grow. And then you can look at your scenario and deduce from there. Maybe I didn't feed it. Maybe it wasn't enough water. Maybe you didn't plant early enough. Typically, that is the problem, is not planting early enough. Maybe there's not enough sun. And then you can kind of you can work your way down through all of these different problems. Because I can come out here today and say, hey, you don't have onions because you planted them late. And then the next year you're going to plant them early and be like, well, I still didn't have onions. When in reality, you weren't feeding them enough. You know what I mean? But instead, what I want to do is I want to tell you, this is this, and this does this. And then you can figure it out. And then you don't leave it up to chance anymore. This isn't gambling. This is a skill that we've developed. And growing food is an important skill. It's an important skill set that we have developed over many millennia of doing, and it's not something impossible that you can't do. Another purpose on coming on here and being on YouTube and everywhere else is I want everybody to understand that every single year you will have failures. It will happen, and it is okay for it to be a failure. Because if you don't learn from that failing point, then that's your problem. But that is a great point, because then you can see, right? And then you can learn from that, and that's how we learn. So don't be afraid to fail. You know, who was it? Michael Jordan said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you're worried about, let's say I've been talking a lot about planting earlier this year. You're worried that your broccoli is gonna die if you plant it a month earlier than you normally do. So you don't. Well, you never will know. Right? You're worried that the fertilizer is going to ruin your soil, so you never use fertilizer. Then you're never going to know what could happen on the other side. You're worried that if you water more often, which we'll be talking about that soon too, because I have theories about that you're going to be wasting water, and you're not going to be, you're not going to have any benefits in your garden, so you don't do it. You'll never know the difference. When in reality, what you could do is take 2 beds, water one more, water one the same, see what happens. I mean, it's just all these things. So don't leave anything up to chance for you when you're in your garden. Definitely take control of it and figure it out and problem solve and solve that puzzle. Look at it and say, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? What do I need to do? What can I get away with and what does not need to be done? And I'm gonna give you an example right now. These are my rutabagas. Look at this. Look at this leaf. Look at all those. My goodness. Now ask me why I haven't treated them. I can't help but kill them, but ask me why I haven't treated them. Because I'm gonna harvest them in a week. What's the point in treating them? They're not affecting anything else in my garden. Everything that they're going to affect is coming out in a matter of days, if not a week, if not days. So there's no point. But see, I know that because I've done it before and I've tried it and I know what this pest affects, and that's that knowledge that you're gonna use moving forward. You're worried about aphids and you have my peas get covered in aphids, but I'm gonna be pulling my peas soon. So why treat when I'm just gonna pull them up and then they're gonna go away? Because the aphids don't really affect anything else in the garden right now. You see what I'm saying? So don't leave it up to chance. Take control of your garden, figure it out, and you're gonna be happy. You're gonna be amazed by how much you're gonna learn this year.
Goodbye.